Hey everyone, Madhatted here. Today I'm going to be reviewing Dark Jeskai, a deck that's been one of the top tier decks of the format ever since BFZ came out. Kind of solidified itself as the deck to beat since John Finkel and Owen Turnwell top-aided the Standard Pro Tour with it, and it's had some other good results at GPs and SCG events, and it hasn't really shown that much weakness, so that's why it's been doing so well. I've been playing it online for a while, and it's definitely a powerful deck. Now, if we look at the deck, it's a 4-color deck, of course, which most formats isn't something you can do, but because of the fetch lands plus the dual lands from Battle for Zendikar, the mana's fairly easy. The way it works is, if you want to play a 3-color deck in Standard, you kind of get a 4th color for free because of the fetch lands and the dual lands, how they work. It's hard to explain it specifically, but if you've played Battle for Zendikar Standard, it'll make more sense. But basically, you get to be a Jeskai deck primarily that gets to splash for a bunch of black cards that are very powerful. So you just get to play some of the most powerful cards in every color in Magic, other than green, but no one likes green. I'm just joking, but primarily you have like Mantis Rider, which is a very solid threat in the formats, and Jace, and then Tasigur. All these 3 creatures are just so strong. You got to play them all together, which are very good. Mantis Rider is just an efficient threat. It just comes down early, it has haste, vigilance, it's good on offense and defense. If you ever get 2 in play, your opponent doesn't have too long to live unless they deal with them. Tasker, very good creature. Delve is pretty good right now with 12 fetch land decks and a bunch of cheap cards. Jace looting helps Tasker come down as early as turn 3 sometimes. And it has good late game too, where it can activate its ability and get you card advantage. The main card that I would say, like, one of the best cards in Standard right now is Jace, though. Being able to early game be a looter fixes your mana, doesn't let you flood out, doesn't let you get too mana screwed, lets you find what you're looking for to develop early turns, and then eventually being able to flip to a Planeswalker that can flashback your spells is huge. Because a lot of the spells in this deck are 2-for-1 or very powerful effects, like Crackling Doom kills the best creature on board and then deals 2 damage as a bonus. Kolaghan's Command can return a creature, maybe kill a creature, make them discard a card. Ochitai's Command can counter spell draw a card or return a creature draw a card. Gain 4 life draw a card is not an irrelevant effect too. Just a very flexible card, but being able to play all these powerful effects again off of Jace is very strong. And it's one of the reasons, I think this is one of the decks that can abuse Jace the most, and it's the reason why it's one of the best cards in Standard, because of decks like this that can really take advantage of it. The rest of the creatures that kind of round out the deck are Soulfire Grandmasters, which, being able to lifelink is important with burn spells. Being able to buy back your spells, in a sense, with his ability is pretty good. And it does happen a lot of times, because this deck can grind out games, can go long. Then we have Grandmaster Outcast, which, once again, it's good if the games go long. It's a sweet creature that you can get back with Ochitai's Command and Kolaghan's Command. So you can sometimes make sure it sticks down late game and just start making a bunch of 5/5 dragons. So that kind of rounds out the deck. The rest is, like, we have some counter spells which are just kind of well positioned in the format, because every deck has targets for things like Dispel and Negate. And even if you don't have targets, even if you play against a deck that we can't really use Dispel against, Jace can discard it for you, which is another powerful thing about Jace. It lets you play one-ofs that are situationally powerful, and then if you have it in a situation where it won't be good, you can discard it to Jace. But, I think having 2 counterspells is good. Some like to Dispel, some like to Negate, some people like Disdainful Stroke. Also, it's kind of your own choice, but I think 2 counterspell slots that are cheaper a good place to be. And then having like 4 1-mana removal spells is good. Being able to kill opponents' Jaces, being able to kill early threats like not Anafenza, sorry, Warden the First Tree, there we go. Even killing Mantis Riders off Fiery Impulse, all just very strong things to do. So yeah, that kind of rounds out the main deck. The mana base is pretty standard, 12 fetch lands, some basics, some duels, some tri-lands. I've also opted for 1 Shambling Vents, kind of as just a tech spot. I just felt like the mana's been so good anyways, that instead of playing like a 4th Mystic Monastery, I'd rather just have a Vent that sometimes if the game goes long against the Mirror Match or against Esper Control decks, something like that, just having like 1 land that can be a creature also is just nice utility. Maybe it's better to just have like Mystic Monastery, but I think it's kind of sweet, and it's been useful sometimes. Moving to the sideboard, I have a few different rows here for kind of different columns of cards. The first one's kind of anti-aggression cards, so like Arishan Cleric, very good against a Tarka Red or Greenwood Landfall. Just a good body. Once again, you can return Arishan Cleric off of Ojutai's command, which is a very like having creatures that you can return off Ojutai's command is very big, and being able to abuse them is pretty sweet. Radiant Flame's very good against Atarka Red, like I said. Also very good against tokens decks, like Esper tokens, Band tokens. It's a good effect to have. It also is a sweet combo with Soulfire Grandmaster, because if your Radiant Flames have lifelink and it deals 3 damage to 5 creatures, that's 15 life you gain. Virulent Plague is another good card against, mainly this is for tokens. So Band tokens, Esper tokens are the 2 main decks that's good against. But, even being able to make Windmute Rock tokens less or Gideon tokens are nullified are pretty cool. And I think it's just a good one to have. Next row is kind of control cards. Like Dispel's very good in Jeskai mirror matches. It's very good in Esper mirrors. The other matches you'll bring it in. I guess like Rally decks. Does Rally the Ancestors an instant. Disdainful Stroke's very powerful against a lot of mid-range decks in the format. It's good against Abzan most of the time, good against Bant. Strong against the Eldrazi deck that tries to put Ugins and Ulamogs into play. Good card there. Mastery the Unseen, once again, good against Jeskai, good against Esper, because those decks don't really have too many answers to enchantments in this format, so being able to have a card that they can't really deal with once it comes down and then it gives you late game inevitability, it's pretty strong. And then we just rounded off with another Outcast. Good against Control, it's good against Abzan decks also, just as another late game finisher. I think it's nice to have a second one in the board if you want it. This row is kind of more for Jeskai and Abzan. Like, Roast is very good at clearing Siege Rhinos, Anafenzas, things like that. Transgress the Mind is just a nice flexible removal card. Being able to exile them is sometimes relevant in Jeskai matchups. Just also against Abzan, just having a general answer that can deal with Anafenza, Siege Rhino, Wingmate Rock, Gideon, all these cards. Not many cards that can deal with all of those at once. So Transgress is pretty sweet. Exert Influence is another very powerful card. We're a 4-color deck, so we can steal anything with power 4 or less. So in the mirror matches, stealing a Tastiker is huge. Stealing Siege Rhino and Abzan is pretty good. So I think it's definitely a worthy card to include. Rounding it out, we have Feldar Cub, which is pretty sweet. Once again, it's a 2-drop that we can get back with Ojutai's command and Kolaghan's command. It's good against like the enchantment removal, like Silk Wrap and Stasis Snare. It's also good against things like Abzan Ascendancy or Jeskai Ascendancy. Even Mastery the Unseen, it's not the worst if you really need a way to deal with Mastery. So that kind of rounds out the deck. Like I said, it's you just got to play a lot of very powerful cards because you have access to 4 different colors of Magic. So, I think that's it for this list. This is a pretty standard list, so if you want to get an idea what someone playing Jeskai Black would have in their main deck, I think this is pretty good. If you want to build the deck for yourself, something like this is probably a good starting point. One interesting thing to note is that recently there has been a little bit of tech in regards to a different way to play this deck, in a sense, which is Todd Anderson did come top 8 at SCG with a more controlling version, and I thought I'd just show you guys that quickly in case you wanted to see it, in case maybe that becomes a popular variant of playing it. This version doesn't have Mantis Riders and doesn't have Tassigers, and it replaces it with things like more Dig Through Time, Planar Outbursts, more counters, more removal. So it's basically just a more controlling shell of Jeskai Black, and it has less pressure then because it doesn't have Tassigers, because it doesn't have Jeskai, Mantis Rider, Jeskai Creature. But most of the time against Jeskai Black mirror matches, you don't want Mantis Riders anyway, so siding them out is something that would happen. So kind of having them not in the main deck means you're pre-boarded to be a bit better against Jeskai Black, which is kind of interesting. Also interesting to note, though, is being less aggressive means you're worse against decks like Eldrazi. But Todd Anderson has 3 infinite obliterations in the sideboard, which I can only assume is so you can do things like name Ulamog with infinite obliteration, and they don't have that as a kill condition anymore. So that's an interesting way to go around that problem of not being as aggressive, because this version's main finisher is Dragon Master Outcast. Because your only creatures are Jace, Soulfire Grandmaster, and Dragon Master Outcast, so it's definitely an interesting take on the deck, more control-y, with more answers, but maybe this is where people want to go in the future, or maybe this variant is very metagame dependent, so maybe it's better to play this sometimes, maybe it's better to play this version sometimes, but it's interesting to think about. So I think that's all I have for today on the deck. Hope you guys, learned a bit about this deck, which is one of the top tier decks in Standard right now, and probably will be for the next while, because I don't see this falling off. It's just so efficient, so powerful, hard to hate out also. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoy. Feel free to leave comments on what you think of the deck, or if you think of any improvements or anything like that, or your experiences with the deck. And I'll see you guys around.